Somebody says rumors flying about Syria, Assad. Well, I tell you what, the picture in the Middle East, here's what people should have been, everybody should be cautioned about the media's views, right? I say that because normally people lock on to things that sound logical, right? Just in case you haven't noticed, what seems logical does not always, the outcome is not always what you think. It's not. So something can sound like it's plausible or logical, but it can be way out of bounds, right? One good test of all things is time. Time. Especially when you are dealing in a subject where you can't personally change it. You can always see the outcome and realign things based on that outcome, right? That way you have greater and greater clarity going forward. The Middle East it's been described one way. I think that you'll see the developments in the Middle East have been a little different from what's been described. Let's go ahead and face it. Sharing the interpretation of the news in Western countries, we've heard propaganda, right? Which is why, people believe one thing or hear one thing. They then base conclusions off the news, only to find out the Middle East has moved in a different direction, right? So we're going to see that. We will know that. Somebody says, question, Book of Melchizedek. Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls, are they a safe thing to study? I would say this, your foundational study, right? Your foundational connection is with Christ. Some of these old books are absolutely authentic, but here's the issue. These books are written by who? They're written by men. And if you got to be careful of the context and how you study, right? You got to be careful of that. If you read an article from the 1930s, it can throw you off from what you believe today. It could be a true article, right? But it may be in a context that you're not really used to. Always make sure that your foundation in Christ, scriptures, are solid, right? Somebody said, where did you read about Solomon losing the Ark of the Testimony, running around naked? I heard you mention that. Well, there is back in 1611, there were some books, even in the Old Testament, which gives an outcome, tells a story of what Solomon actually did. Solomon lived every single lifestyle he could possibly live, and he called them all vanity, right? But Solomon was the one with 1,000 concubines. Solomon was the one who lost the ark. And at the end of Solomon's little journey, there were some writings in 1611 that were common with biblical scrolls that just aren't there anymore. And let me give you a short story. Why would they ever take out those scrolls? Men did that. God didn't do it. Men did that. Back during that time, and you really have to be sober to understand this. Back during that time, government was faith and faith was government. It was one and the same. A king could dictate what people believed and what they did not believe. Anything that spoke against the government, they removed. All of it's resurfacing. But be warned, not all of what resurfaces was authentic. So it's very important to know who Christ is. Very important to know who Jesus is. Because lots of people are using the resurfacing of these books to try and take their mindset away from Christ also. Somebody says, do you know when the giants are coming back on the earth? Well, I believe something different. I'm not here to dispute. I normally don't dispute anybody's comments about giants coming back or not. As far as the Nephilim, they're already back. You've already seen them. People have already aspired to be like them. Man, I say just about everybody on earth has seen a real live Nephilim already. They just couldn't recognize them. But they were so overly involved in their stuff. They didn't even know they were dead. And people said they're going to be thrown into hell. I was shown something else. I was shown they were on the right-hand side. An angel guided everybody away from this door. And everybody who was led away from the door were those who were tattered, those who went somewhere else. But all these people stood before this door, and the angel opened that door, and inside that door was the absence of all light, and it sucked those people in there. There was no escape for those people when he opened the door. The same thing that was behind that door, that was in that void, that emptiness, was inside those people. That's why they couldn't escape. The darkness in them was drawn back to the source of darkness itself, and they were sucked right into it. And he shut the door. I totally understood what that was. But the feeling from that door, the absence of all light, no hope, no love, no escape, no anything. I said, oh no, this is not a place for any human, not one. I don't care how bad the person is. That's not a place for a human soul. That is not a place for a human soul. Right now, if somebody came forward to give knowledge concerning the fallen, how to know who is who, and it'd be lost. Right? It's full of conjecture. Until the Lord gives that moment of demonstration what people cannot say. That wasn't real, or that person's crazy for thinking that. Until he opens that door, it cannot be discussed. Not in detail. When the days of demonstration come, there'll be no doubt. Nobody's going to think it's blue beam or anything else, because it's not going to manifest like that. You're going to know to the bone it's real. Those things connect with you on a very different level. There is no denying. No denying. I don't know, some of you may have had something connected with you that way, but there are things that can connect with you on a level so deep. You already know that what's before you is unlike anything that has ever been before you, and that is absolutely real. And it makes everything else, it minimizes all situations in that very second. Those days will come. When they do come, so will the educations begin. There are people out there, they do know about them, but they too can't see anything. Not until those days of demonstration. Just so you know, when they were in denial, much information was coming forward. Now that they're not in denial, like they used to be, right? So long as they're not in denial, it is intellectual property. It is. And you cannot come forward with intellectual property that belongs to somebody else without, a lot of a different type of citing. Let's put it that way, right? Your citations are going to be of a little different, a little more complex format than just a standard, ASA citation or BLA or whatever citation you want to use. It's going to be quite different from that. All right, next question. Yes, and I saw the purple lights. You know why that was strange? That was very odd. It's odd when people notice that. You guys know about the changing of the light bulbs, don't you? Because some people would put them out. You guys know about that? Maybe not. See, some people would walk under the other light bulbs, and they would just blow out because something was following them from up top. That's why. So I'll say it again. Some people, when they walk around, something is above them when they walk around. I'll explain something better. Let me ask you guys a question. Why would Ford Motor Company, right? Why would they pay out just a lot of money to find somebody who can make an engine run in the presence of a UFO? Do you guys know they did that? Now, why would a company pay out a lot of money to have an engine designed that was not prone to UFOs? Why would masterminds of the world get together? Cell phone companies did something very similar. They did. If you guys can remember, before everything went digital, there were interferences on cell phones sometimes. Right? The echoed language, when a call drops, something else may come in. Right? They needed something that was redundant in the presence of a UFO. Everybody did it because the skies were always full. The skies are always full. Clear and simple. Anyway, that's that one. And there are people down here on this earth that are, they're kind of connected. If UFOs are real, which the Pentagon says they are, everybody is saying they are, if they're real, they are the environmental problem. So when you hear that word environment, and if you've ever been briefed on low-level classified forms and things of that nature, then you understand that environment is a buzzword for them. Not in all cases, but in many cases, environment is a buzzword for UFOs. Maybe you didn't know that before, but it is. That's no longer. So if you force someone to pray, they're going to begrudgingly do it. If you get an attitude with a person, say, well, you guys won't pray. Now people are praying out of guilt. It's not going to work. That's not a prayer. That's not a prayer. It's either going to be in love or not at all. Remember that. That's just a civil war. There are things happening right now that are, listen, there are people who are disgruntled because of this election. Period. Why? Why this election? Because there was a lot of hatred in this election. A lot of foul things were said. You know what? I think it ought to be illegal to degrade anybody during an election. How about that? That should be illegal. That should be illegal. That's been going on since day one. Elections have been violent. And then when people get what they want, here's what I don't like about it. You ready? Here's what I don't like about any election. Doesn't matter what it is. I do not like the fact that people will do evil things to get their position, yet when they get their position, then they're happy. Only when they get what they want are they happy, are they content. Otherwise, there is no contentment in them. That is not a pathway to peace. Have you ever seen a bully in action? You ever seen a bad kid in action? They say and do everything until they get what they want, and only when they get what they want are they satisfied. I notice when, regardless of who the president is, every single election, you have half the people that say, this is the Lord's will, and you have the other half that says, nope, that's the devil. And these are coming from Christians. Are you kidding me? So it's the old adage, people are only satisfied when they get what they want. So don't let that happen. Anyway, I was saying, the same way a demonic entity is cast out of a person and it goes out and finds nothing but dry places, then it comes back to where it was ejected from. and it finds 7 worse than itself, the principle of Christ is the person's end condition is going to be worse than the first. Right? So everybody's happy right now. A lot of people are happy because they got what they wanted. But I bring a caution. It's just like ejecting evil. When it finds no home anywhere else, when it finds no other place where it can impact so many people, it's coming right back to where it left from. And it's going to find a legion of entities coming back with it. And when it assumes its mantle again, when it attempts to take over again, whatever people thought was good can instantly be turned into their worst nightmare. That's where the church comes in. Only the church can counsel. See, listen, the church is going to have to counsel everything that's happening up there. They're going to have to counsel the people. They're going to have to make sure people are covered. Because this, whatever spirit is over America trying to get to the people, I'm telling you right now, it's going to go out and get its forces, and it's coming back. Do you hear me? It's coming back to retake all of its real estate. Evil does not like to lose real estate. That's important for you guys to know in your personal families. You can pray for your family, yes, but you've got to follow up with counseling. You've got to follow up with prayer. You've got to speak to the people in your homes, not forcing them to accept the Lord. No. You've got to demonstrate all principles of the Lord. Now listen, a person cannot see just one chance. That's it. One chance. And then you're gone. People leave every day. It's not based on age. That's not what it's based on. It's not about you becoming old or not. It's about you finishing your race. That's what that's about. Not one of us is promised tomorrow. Any of us could go at any given time. How terrible it would be to go and you did not complete what you've been sent here to do. You've been made a specific way. So my advice to you is be genuine. And never forget, you're not stuck here. You are leaving. You're going to leave everything behind. Parents, you're going to leave everything behind. Parents, you're going to leave everything behind. You're going to leave your kids, your grandkids, you're leaving everything behind. And it's not based on if you think they're ready or not. It's based on your purpose here from the Almighty. Everybody has their purpose. Those kids you raised in this world, you're assigned the vessel that they came through. But those are God's people. Those are your brothers and sisters in Christ. It just so happens that they came through your bloodline, but those are God's people. And you've been given the awesome responsibility to have a part in for their process. Don't forget that. But you are leaving them, and you're going to leave everything behind. You're prepped to see what many are not. Do you know what would happen if many saw the calamities you know about? They would fold. They would. They wouldn't be able to take it. There are many people out there now, they would not be able to take seeing what's about to come. But many of you are meant for it. This is your time. And whether you accept it or not, you know spiritually, you're stirred internally because you know something is close. You don't know what it is, but you know it's close. That's why you're always telling yourself, I got to get real. I got to be ready. Huh? Isn't that what you've been? Things are coming. See, that's why you search and scour the internet, because you know something is coming and you want to know who knows that something is coming. You're trying to get a hint of it. You don't know what it is, but for some reason, you know that if you heard the right thing, you would comprehend what it is. If somebody would just say it, you would latch on to it. You're looking for it. You know it's coming. Who do you think put that in so many? That didn't come from Satan. Satan is the one trying to get you to believe that everything is normal. He speaks through other people, hasn't he? And they have come into your life saying, well, things have gone on like this from the beginning. They're just going to keep on going like this. right? It's kind of like the people that said UFOs don't exist. Now their own people, from the people they trust, have come forward and said, yes, they do exist. In the armies and the militaries and the air forces, they don't know what they are. But they're faster than us, and we can't do anything about them. And they are a threat to national security. That's the word that's come out now. They are a threat. Ooh, isn't that something? See? They're changing their tune. They have no choice now. You don't want to be one of those when something happens. You're caught off guard, and then you end up saying, I could have been ready for this. But instead of following what the Lord put in me, I tried to be just like the world. How many times have you guys done that? You tried to be like the rest of the world. What I mean is, you tried to go to church like everybody else and just be happy and go home and start your work week. You already tried that. And I'm telling you, you felt dead doing it. It was a routine that was not yours. You're made to go the extra mile. That's what you're made for. You're made to go the extra mile. You can't even believe like everybody else. They are sustained by a message, it's going to be nice and sunny today. Sit back, relax, be thankful, and that's it. No, there's more to it than that. You guys be safe out there in the world. Things are happening and evolving quickly. Listen, I give you this one small caution about world events. We live in a time now where everything can change abruptly. I mean abruptly. Do you hear me? Abruptly. You can be in this moment right now, right? In the next few hours, we could entertain something that the world itself did not believe. Be ready for great sorrow. Great sorrows. See, in the Bible it says, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Right? Remember it said these are the beginning of sorrows when the Lord said that? But see, that started happening thousands of years ago. You know that, don't you? We are not at the beginning of sorrows. We're far beyond that. Far beyond that. See, a lot of people take comfort in those scriptures because they try to put off prophecy for as long as they can. We're not at the beginning of prophecy. We were born in the middle of prophecy. Kingdoms have risen against kingdom a long time ago. Nation was against nation a long time ago. There were wars and rumors of wars thousands of years ago. All that stuff started thousands of years ago. They imprisoned the prophets for 10 days and the apostles, and they'll continue to do that throughout time. There have been genocides in the earth, world wars, and we just entered into another one. Is the world not fighting? Yes, it is. Even the people are fighting each other in every land. You know when a world war becomes a world war to everybody? When everybody stops ignoring it. Before Pearl Harbor, we were in a world war, but the USA said, not us. And then they were attacked at Pearl Harbor. Do you see? The world was already at war. And we got drug into it. In other words, there was a world war. We were just simply ignoring it. Just because distress has not come to American lands yet does not mean the world is not immersed in a war. You know, it was prophesied. I'll give you something that most of you should know this. That the Third World War would begin when the West fights those who had the first light of wisdom, the Middle East. When the West, when the new nation, in one scroll, it said, when the newest nation, the nation of many, fights. And it was speaking about Israel fights those, because it was talking about Hebron and all these different places fights those. That'll be the beginning of the war. And it mentioned oil. Do you know that? black nectar. That's what it mentioned. Black nectar. And that full accountability will be taken because they fought over the black nectar and killed each other for the sake of it. Then they would change utilizing that. And they would oppress the people. And then everything would be ruined shortly thereafter. And all cities would be mountains of smoke and ash. Do you know that? Oh, it's coming. It's forming. It's like clockwork. It's not dying down. There's one scroll that has not missed anything yet. Nothing has failed in it. Everything is happening. Oh, now mercy. And it mentioned small things that nobody knows about. God has given people over time certain things that have come to pass. Lord have mercy. And here we are. And everything is pointing to one of the greatest deceits